I see a lot of lemon and sunflower decor for the summer in stores and on Pinterest and online. And so today I'm going to show you how you can make that same beautiful decor on a budget. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel, and welcome if you're new. My name's Melissa. I can't wait for you to see how I turn these thrifted items into beautiful summer decor. Now let's get to crafting. I found this cute little lemon topiary at Goodwill for $1.50, and it is missing some leaves and stuff on in between the lemons, but that's okay, I can fix that. And so in my house, I have a lot of blue, so I love to incorporate lemons in the summer, but I don't use green, I do use the blue. So I'm gonna paint this pot in the Country Chic paint called Pea Coat. I go ahead and give the pot 2 coats of this navy blue paint. Before I do anything else, now that the paint is dry, I do want to go over it with a top coat, and I use the Waverly varnish in matte. All right, now I do want to have a little bit of something on the pot. So I have these paint inlays from IOD, and this is the Petite Fleur Red. And they have, most of them have red in it, and I don't want the red, but they do have some trim pieces that are just the yellow. So now they have the long ones, but they also have the one I'm going to use in short pieces right here. And so I can, you know, cut each one out and just put them around the edge. And if I only need 3, I can use those. But then they have another sheet of the same trim piece with 3 more. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start putting these on. All right, to put this on, you do need to put down a layer of either paint or top coat or varnish. I'm using the Waverly varnish. And so I'm just gonna put on another layer of that. And then you have your transfer piece or your inlay piece. And I wet it just a little bit. Then I'm going to set that into the varnish. And you want it to make good contact, but you don't want it to be, you don't want to press too hard. Now I am going to have to do this a little at a time just because I have the overhang on the carrier sheet. So I'm going to let this dry, probably use my heat gun to dry it. Once it turns cloudy, then you want to spray it again. And then I'm going to use my tissue or towel, and you just want to dab the excess and let it set for about 30 seconds. And then you can start peeling it back. And this is in real time, but when I started peeling it back, I started noticing that some of the paint was coming up on to the inlay sheet. And I think what the problem was, and the paint was onto the pot, but I think the problem was that I used the heat gun to dry the inlay, and I think that kind of kept the varnish from fully drying. So I decided that the next strip that I did the same process with the varnish, spraying it with water, laying it down, wiping, making sure that it makes good contact. This time I let it dry on its own. Then I spritzed it with the water and tapped off the excess water, let it set for the 30 seconds. And when I started peeling it back, I noticed that it was peeling back beautifully. The paint wasn't coming up, the varnish wasn't coming up. So I think that was the issue, was that I tried to dry the inlay. So after this, I just let it dry on its own, and it really only takes about 30 minutes. Now I need to fill in some of the spaces between the lemons, and I have these leaves that were just in my floral stash, and I think they'll look good. So I'm just basically hot gluing the leaves in between those lemons, and I'm just going to do this until I like the way it looks. All right, now I do want to seal in the paint inlays, so I'm going to spray the base with this matte clear enamel. Once all of this dried, I do want to make a bow, so I'm just taking different ribbon and some fabric strips and just making a little messy bow. And once I get all the strips in a little stack, then I'm just going to tie it together with some floral wire. And then I'm going to take that same floral wire and I'm going to wrap it around the base of the lemons, and it's high enough up on the stem of the topiary that you can't see the wire in the back, but I just tie it real tight so that it doesn't slide down, and that is it. I snip off the edges and that's it, and this project is done. I do cut off a few of the little tails, but this project is done, and I think it looks so much better than when I thrifted it for $1.50. This is definitely going in my coffee bar this summer season, so let me know what you think in the comments. The video is part of a collaboration called Summer Inspiration, and it is hosted by Lowly D's Creations and Lady Red Crafting, and the guest host is Up All Night DIY. I'm going to have their channels listed in my description box, as well as a playlist of all of us that are taking part in this collaboration for all of your summer decor inspiration, so make sure you check it out. For this project, I have this little mini cutting board that I got on clearance from Hobby Lobby, so I think I maybe paid 25 cents for it. So I am going to use this really pretty blue and gold sunflower fabric that I thrifted from an estate sale. I think this is pretty because you can use this in summer and let it carry on to fall. But the first thing I'm going to do is take off that little tag and then cut the fabric to the size that I need. Then I'm going to use Mod Podge and put the Mod Podge on all of the surface of the cutting board and put that material down real good. Let that Mod Podge dry, and then I'm going to cut the fabric, the excess fabric off, and sand all of that down with my little finger sander. Just make sure there's no frayed edges or anything, and then go back over it with a coat of Mod Podge and let it dry completely. Once it's dry, I want to move on to the back, and I'm not going to paint the back. I want it to be stained, so I'm going to use my Waverly Antique Wax and just a paper towel to put that antique wax on the back and on the sides. And while I'm doing it on the sides, I'm kind of running it around the edges of the front. And then once that's done, I'm going to wrap this twine around the neck of the cutting board. And I am just going to tie this once because I do want to make a little twine bow around the top as well. So I just get this tied. And I must have somehow inadvertently bumped my camera so it's off to the edge. But anyway, I just wrapped some twine around my fingers to make sort of a little bow. And I am going to wrap around the little twine bow with some floral wire and get that tied together and get the excess cut off. Next, I tie that long tail around the bow. Then I had some beads in my stash, but I want to get them painted to match the cutting board. So I'm going to use this Waverly Blue in the color Ocean. And then for the yellow, all I had was this kind of light yellow called Maize. So I'm just going to add just a little bit of antique wax or truffle, very little bit, to the yellow and just mix it together, and it kind of warms it up a little bit, but it takes very, very little of that truffle color. But I'm just gonna put the beads on the skewers, 3 on each skewer, and get those painted. And I did put 2 coats of the paint on each set of beads, and then I just laid the skewers across this little glass bowl to dry. Once those beads were dried, I put 2 yellow and 1 blue on one of those tails, and then 2 blue and 1 yellow on the other, and then just tied them in a knot on the bottom and cut off the excess. And finally, I have this blue button that I want to put on top of that bow. So I just put some hot glue on the little bow and place the button down, and then this project is finished. I just think this is so cute, and I really like the sunflowers with the blue. So if you don't want to use lemons in your decor for summer, you can always add sunflowers to your blue decor. I thrifted this. I'm not sure if I got it from a thrift store or an estate sale, but I'm sure I didn't pay much for it, maybe $1. But it is glued on the back side, and I want to do something, try something with this. So I'm just going to see if I can push this out, and it's probably going to tear the part that's inside, but I can fix that. So it's coming off for the most part. Okay, there we go. All right, so I'll just clean this up, and then I'm gonna paint it, and I'm gonna use the Country Chic color in Peacoat. And I did go over the front, the sides, and the back of the frame with 2 coats of the paint. And while that was drying, I went ahead and took the paper off of the backing. Now, I'm not worried about getting all of that off because I am gonna cover it up, and I'm gonna use one of the pieces of paper from this paper pack from Hobby Lobby, and I think I'm gonna use this gray. I thought about using something with blue in it, but then that's too much blue, and I really like the way this gray looks. So I'm just gonna Mod Podge this piece of paper onto this. And after I cut away the edges, I did go over the top with another coat of Mod Podge. Once the frame dried, I went over it with a coat of Waverly Varnish in Matte. All right, now that the varnish is dry, I want to go ahead and go over it with some Waverly White Wax, and I'm going to wipe back the excess with a shop towel. I did this in sections because I didn't want the white to sit on that blue too long, so I wiped it back with the shop towel in sections, and then I went back over it with my brush just to kind of remove any excess pooling in those details, and went back over it with the paper towel. Then I took a baby wipe and used it to wipe off more of the white on the smooth parts of the frame. All right, now for this, I'm going to use this lemon that I had around the house. It had fallen off of something that I use in my house for decor, and it's styrofoam, but I need to make it flat. So I'm just going to use a knife and cut through it. All right, so we have that. So it's basically going to sit on top of this. And I need to take this out. And then I have some little floral greenery that I'm going to cut off, and I'm going to hot glue it into that so that this lemon will have leaves. I put one leaf inside that hole, and then the other leaf, I did it on the back just because I wanted to give it a little bit of added dimension. And then I hot glued it onto the backing along with the flower. All right, so now I have to attach the frame to the back. So I am just going to use some hot glue. So I just ran a bead of hot glue around all of the sides or on top around the edges. And then when I was finished, I had to carefully get those leaves up, kind of up, so that I could slide that frame around it. And then after I did that, I fixed the frame, made sure it was straight, and then pressed on it real good to make sure there was a good seal. There we have a cute little picture frame for a tier tray, a vanity tray, but I just think this is just so cute for summer. Do you use lemon in your summer decor? Let me know, and let me know what you think of this one in the comments. Before we take one more look at all of the projects, I do want to share a Bible verse with you, and this comes from Matthew 6:20 and 21. It says, "But store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust destroys, and where thieves do not break in or steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." And I hope this is a blessing to you today. And here's one last look at all of the projects. I would love for you to tell me which one is your favorite, but I also want to thank you so much for coming by and watching the video. I hope you did get a little bit of inspiration for your summer decor. And I want to make sure I say thanks again so much to the hosts of this collaboration, Lowly D's Creations, Lady Red Crafting, and Up All Night DIY. Don't forget to go check out the playlist. I know you're going to get a ton of summer decor inspiration, and I would hate for you to miss any of it. If you're new to my channel, thank you so much for coming by. And if you like this sort of content, whether it's thrift makeovers, thrift hauls, home decor, just regular shopping hauls, then I would love it if you would consider being a part of my YouTube family and sticking around for a while. Go ahead and click that subscribe button and click the bell button so you're notified when I upload new videos. And everyone, please give this video a big thumbs up because it does help me out with YouTube. And if you want to see more videos like this, then go ahead and check out the boxes you see on the screen right now, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.